Today's lecture marks an important milestone in our understanding of high-tech marketing intelligence. We will explore how segmentation helps firms identify and focus on the most relevant and profitable customer groups, particularly in fast-moving technology markets. In high-tech industries, customer expectations evolve rapidly, and product life cycles are much shorter than in traditional sectors. Therefore, one size fits all marketing rarely works. Instead, segmentation allows us to tailor strategies to customers who share similar needs, preferences, or buying behaviors. This process involves four major steps. First, we divide the overall market into distinct groups. These groups must reflect shared characteristics that are meaningful for marketing decision making. Second, we profile each group by describing the typical customer within the segment, what they want, how they behave, and what drives their choices. Third, we evaluate and select the most promising segment or segments to target based on criteria like market potential, competitive intensity, and strategic fit. Finally, we position our product or service within that chosen segment so that it resonates with the target customers and stands out from competitors. Throughout this lecture, I encourage you to think about how brands like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and Samsung have used customer segmentation to dominate their industries. How did they know who to target? How did they design products to meet specific segment needs? Keep those questions in mind as we begin to unpack each step of the segmentation process. Let's now examine the first step, dividing the market into groups. This is done based on common characteristics that help us understand what customers want and how they behave. For consumer markets, some of the most common segmentation bases include demographics, geographics, psychographics, and behavioral variables. Demographics refer to factors like age, income, education, and gender. In high-tech markets, gender roles are especially important. For instance, modern women tend to expect a high level of user-friendliness, intuitive design, and personalized service. This has major implications for how high-tech products are designed and marketed. Next, we have geographic segmentation, dividing markets based on location. Urban consumers might prioritize sleek, portable tech devices, while rural consumers may focus on battery life and durability. Then we have psychographics, which go deeper into a customer's values, attitudes, lifestyle, and personality. This can be crucial in distinguishing between tech enthusiasts and tech skeptics. Finally, behavioral segmentation looks at usage patterns, how frequently customers use products, what benefits they're looking for, and on what occasions. A gamer and a business executive may both buy laptops, but the features they prioritize are vastly different. Understanding these divisions allows marketers to allocate resources more effectively, develop relevant products, and craft messages that actually connect with target users. In high-tech sectors, this granularity is critical to staying ahead of competitors and capturing customer loyalty. Segmentation is not limited to consumers. In fact, in high-tech industries, business-to-business or B2B segmentation can be even more essential. When your customers are other businesses, the criteria for segmentation become more strategic and organizational in nature. For example, industry codes can help categorize companies into sectors such as healthcare, education, finance, or manufacturing, each with its own unique needs and regulatory considerations. Understanding the industry context allows marketers to offer more tailored solutions. Firm size is another key factor. A small startup with limited resources and a need for scalability might require a different type of software or hardware solution than a multinational corporation with a global IT department. Then there's corporate culture. Some firms are open to innovation and change, while others prefer established, risk-averse solutions. By recognizing these differences, marketers can better align their messaging and sales approach. Another distinction to consider is vertical versus horizontal segmentation. Vertical segmentation means targeting firms within a single industry, say offering specialized cloud services for hospitals. Horizontal segmentation, on the other hand, involves targeting firms across industries with similar needs, such as offering cybersecurity software for banks, schools, and retailers alike. The key takeaway here is that B2B customers are not all alike, and failing to segment properly can result in wasted marketing efforts or product misfit. After dividing the market into segments, the next step is to profile each one in detail. This means building a comprehensive understanding of the typical customer in that group. Profiling helps marketers go beyond abstract categories and begin to empathize with real people or firms. For instance, in the case of US ICT users, segments could be described by age group, profession, digital literacy level, or openness to adopting new technologies. One group might be composed of early adopters, high income, tech-savvy individuals who seek innovation and are willing to pay a premium. Another segment might consist of late adopters, budget-conscious users who need a strong reason to switch from their current technology. Profiling involves identifying key customer behaviors, goals, frustrations, and preferences. It may even include psychographic details such as motivation or lifestyle. These profiles become the foundation for targeted communication and product development. For instance, knowing that a segment of your customers values data privacy above all else allows you to highlight encryption and security features in your marketing materials. Effective profiling also enables firms to anticipate how different customers will respond to product upgrades, pricing changes, or promotional campaigns. Ultimately, profiling transforms customer data into actionable insights that can guide both strategic planning and day to day marketing execution. With customer segments identified and profiled, the next critical step is choosing which ones to pursue. Not all segments are equally attractive or viable. Selection should be based on four primary criteria: size, growth rate, competitive intensity, and strategic fit with the company's capabilities. First, size matters. You need to assess whether a segment is large enough in terms of potential sales volume to justify investment. Here, the 80-20 rule is helpful. Often, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers, so identifying those high value segments is key. Second, consider the segment's growth rate. A small but fast growing market may offer more promise than a mature, saturated one. This is particularly important in high tech industries where new use cases and applications are constantly emerging. Third, evaluate the level of competition in the segment. If it's highly competitive, does your firm have a unique advantage or a way to stand out? If not, entering that space may be difficult and intensive. Lastly, think about your internal capabilities. Even if a segment is large and growing, if your firm lacks the expertise, technology, or partnerships to serve that segment well, success may be unlikely. In some cases, forming alliances or acquiring new capabilities may be necessary. For example, a startup may choose to avoid competing in the mainstream smartphone market and instead focus on rugged phones for niche markets like construction or field service industries. The goal is to find a strategic match where market opportunity and company strength intersect. That's where you'll find the best chance of sustained competitive advantage. Once you've chosen the right segment to target, the next crucial step is to determine how to position your product within that segment. Positioning is essentially how you want your target customers to perceive your product relative to competing offerings. It involves shaping perceptions by highlighting what is most compelling and relevant to the customer. This is especially important in high tech markets where features, performance, and innovation are constantly evolving. A strong positioning strategy ensures your product stands out, not just in functionality, but in meaning. To position effectively, firms need to consider several key aspects. First, customer perceptions. What do they already believe or expect about products in this category? If customers perceive your competitors as more innovative or more reliable, how do you counter that perception? Second, positioning must emphasize attributes or benefits that matter most to the target market. It's not enough to be different. You must be different in ways that are important. A common method used in high tech markets is the multi attribute model. This model breaks down how customers evaluate products based on a set of attributes like speed, price, ease of use, or design. By rating each attribute's importance and evaluating how your brand performs compared to others, you can identify opportunities to refine your message or improve your offering. This structured approach helps remove guesswork and gives marketers a clearer direction in communicating the product's value. To better understand how the multi attribute model works, let's walk through a practical example. Imagine we are evaluating smartphones and customers rate certain features as most important, such as camera quality, battery life, processing speed, and price. Each feature is given a weight based on how much it matters to the customer. Then each brand is scored on how well it performs in each area. The total weighted score gives us a quantifiable sense of how favorably or unfavorably the market perceives each brand. This model is especially useful in high tech industries because it helps businesses pinpoint where they are underperforming and where they have competitive strengths. If customers rate your product highly on an attribute they care deeply about, for example, security features, this becomes a powerful part of your positioning strategy. But if your product scores poorly on price, and price is very important to the segment, then you either need to adjust your pricing or retarget a different segment that values other features more. What's important here is that the multi-attribute model gives us data-driven insights. Instead of relying on gut feeling, you're basing your positioning decisions on how your target audience actually makes choices. It also helps avoid common marketing mistakes like overemphasizing features that don't really matter to the customer. Building on the multi-attribute model, marketers often use a technique called perceptual mapping. This is a visual tool that takes consumer perception data and plots it onto a two-dimensional graph. The axes typically represent two major product attributes like price versus performance or innovation versus reliability. Each brand or product is placed on the map according to how it is perceived on those two attributes. This gives marketers a clear visual of where their brand stands in relation to competitors, and perhaps more importantly, it shows where gaps or opportunities exist. For example, if you were marketing smartphones and saw that most competitors cluster in the high price, high performance corner of the map, but there's an empty space in the mid price, high security segment, that may indicate an untapped opportunity. Additionally, perceptual maps can also show ideal points, which represent what customers want. If your brand is far away from the ideal point, you may need to reposition. Perceptual maps are powerful because they simplify complex data and provide a quick snapshot of market dynamics. In fast moving high tech markets, this helps firms make faster, smarter strategic decisions. It's also an excellent tool to explain positioning to internal stakeholders like engineers or product developers who might otherwise struggle to connect with consumer behavior. Let's apply these tools with a real world example involving the Honda Civic. Suppose Honda wants to assess its current market position and identify new opportunities. First, it would segment the market by profiling different customer types. Families looking for space and safety, young professionals looking for affordability and style, or eco conscious drivers seeking fuel efficiency. Then, using a positioning map, Honda can evaluate where the Civic currently sits in the minds of customers and where gaps exist. In this case, let's say Honda realizes that their Civic is widely associated with reliability and family use. However, there's a visible gap in the market for an economy style Civic that targets individual buyers rather than families, maybe single commuters or students. By repositioning a version of the Civic for that specific niche, Honda can expand market reach without drastically changing the product itself. This might involve tweaks in the design, messaging, or pricing structure. This example illustrates how segmentation and positioning go hand in hand. You identify the customer groups that matter, then find where and how your product can best meet their needs. And by continuously using market analysis and perceptual tools, firms like Honda can evolve their positioning over time, staying relevant even as customer preferences shift. In high tech markets, one unique challenge is obsolescence, the fear that today's purchase may become outdated tomorrow. This is a major psychological barrier for customers when considering new technology. Imagine buying a new smartphone only to find out a significantly better version launches a few months later. This hesitation leads to what we call purchase delay or even purchase avoidance, which is problematic for marketers. To address this, companies need to think not just about features and pricing, but also about how they manage technology transitions. Customers often want assurance that their investment is future proof or at least upgradable. One strategic response is to design a migration path, a clear roadmap that helps customers smoothly transition from older to newer versions of the product. This can include backwards compatibility, trade-in programs, or software upgrades. From a marketing perspective, acknowledging this fear and offering solutions can build trust. Brands that ignore obsolescence risk losing customers to competitors who are better at managing the product lifecycle. Companies like Apple are very good at this. They offer trading credit, sync data seamlessly across devices, and create ecosystems that keep users within their product line over time. Managing obsolescence is about reducing customer anxiety and giving them confidence that their investment won't be wasted. In the next few slides, we'll explore specific migration strategies and how marketers can support customers through these transitions. One of the most critical considerations in high tech markets is understanding what influences a customer's decision to migrate to a newer technology. Customers don't always adopt new products immediately, even if they're better, because of a psychological calculation. Is the upgrade worth the cost now? Or should they wait for a newer, cheaper version? This decision is driven by expectations around two main factors: the pace and magnitude of improvements. For example, if customers expect that the next version of a product will be significantly better or cheaper in just a few months, they're more likely to delay their purchase. This tendency is even stronger when the improvement is anticipated to be substantial and visible, such as better performance, major design changes, or enhanced compatibility. In such cases, even loyal customers may hold off, creating a problem for companies trying to push current inventory or maintain steady revenue streams. This behavior is particularly prevalent in fast evolving sectors like smartphones, laptops, or software as a service, SaaS. Marketers need to recognize these expectations and manage them wisely. Overpromising future updates can backfire and kill current sales, while ignoring customers' anticipation may drive them to competitors. That's why understanding the psychology of waiting and the economics of upgrade timing is key to crafting a successful marketing and product transition strategy. In response to this challenge, marketers have several options for managing customer migration. The most effective strategy is to proactively provide upgrades that reduce the perceived risk of becoming obsolete. One way to do this is by offering regular updates or modular upgrades, especially in software or firmware driven products. This gives customers confidence that their purchase won't be left behind as technology evolves. Another strategic approach is to create a clear migration path, a series of predictable and customer friendly steps that help users move from one product generation to the next. This might involve product bundles, discounted upgrades, loyalty incentives, or migration support. For example, Adobe's Creative Cloud allows users to access the latest versions of their software through a subscription model, effectively eliminating the need for customers to worry about buying an outdated version. In high tech markets, these migration strategies are not just operational tools, they are powerful marketing levers. They build trust, demonstrate value continuity, and help prevent customer churn. Remember, the goal is not to force immediate purchases, but to provide assurance that customers are making a smart and secure investment, one that will evolve with them. When customers anticipate a rapid pace of advancement in technology, they are more likely to postpone their purchase, hoping for either lower prices or more advanced features in the near future. In such cases, simply introducing a new product isn't enough. Companies must actively manage the migration experience to keep customers from either waiting indefinitely or skipping over product generations entirely. One effective tactic is to offer migration assistance. This might include trade-in programs, installment plans, or backwards compatibility that ensures current investments can be carried forward. For instance, gaming consoles like PlayStation and Xbox allow players to continue using their old games or accessories with newer models. This type of continuity reduces hesitation and encourages smoother transitions. Another solution is offering tiered product releases. Releasing multiple models at different price points like Basic Pro and Premium allows customers to choose based on their comfort level without feeling like they're being forced into buying something they're not ready for. Overall, managing a migration path means creating confidence, lowering transition friction, and offering incentives that reduce the fear of regret. It's about maintaining a customer relationship through multiple product cycles, not just a single transaction. However, not all customer migration scenarios are the same. In some cases, the magnitude of expected improvement is so large that customers realize their current device or system will be completely obsolete soon, and they may not want to upgrade incrementally. When this happens, they often delay purchasing altogether until the next generation becomes available. They know that any interim investment may be short-lived or unrewarding. In this situation, offering a migration path is less effective. Customers are not looking for gradual transitions. They're waiting for a leap forward. Think of customers who skipped the iPhone 13 because they anticipated big changes in the iPhone 14, or software users who delay upgrades until a full redesign or major feature set is released. Here, marketers need to accept the reality that customer adoption will come in waves and prepare accordingly. In such contexts, it might be wiser to focus marketing efforts on pre-launch communication, pre-orders, or early bird incentives. Rather than pushing outdated products, companies should build anticipation and excitement for the new version while making sure customers know when and how it will be available. Clear timelines, sneak peeks, and early access privileges can be more effective than trying to bridge customers with interim solutions. Lastly, let's talk about customers who are caught in a state of uncertainty. These are people who aren't sure whether an upgrade is worth it or when the next release will arrive. They may be unsure about whether the next product will be significantly better, cheaper, or compatible with their needs. In such situations, a well communicated migration path becomes very valuable. It helps ease doubt and offers assurance that their purchase today won't leave them stranded tomorrow. One effective strategy in this scenario is to sell old and new products simultaneously, clearly explaining the differences and offering guidance on which product suits which type of user. Apple often uses this strategy. They sell the previous iPhone model at a reduced price next to the latest version. This approach respects budget conscious customers while still pushing forward with innovation. Another important tactic is education. Through in-store support, online tutorials, and transparent FAQs, marketers can reduce confusion and make customers feel empowered rather than overwhelmed. The aim is to remove ambiguity. When customers feel more informed and in control, they're more likely to purchase with confidence. So, whether your customers are hesitant, enthusiastic, or somewhere in between, a strong migration strategy ensures that no one feels left behind. Now, let's shift our focus to a fascinating psychological dimension of high tech marketing, the paradoxical relationship that consumers have with technology. This paradox means that people often feel both attracted to and threatened by technological advancements. On one hand, they embrace convenience, speed, and innovation. On the other hand, they worry about complexity, loss of control, and overdependence. For example, consumers love smartphones for their connectivity, but many also feel overwhelmed by notifications, digital fatigue, or concerns about privacy and surveillance. Similarly, while automation can increase efficiency, some users fear it may reduce human interaction or eliminate jobs. These conflicting emotions shape how people adopt, use, and even reject high tech products. For marketers, this paradox presents a double edged sword. While innovation is a key selling point, pushing it too hard can backfire. Marketers must understand the emotional and psychological coping mechanisms consumers use. Some adopt a minimalist approach, limiting app use or screen time, while others may resist upgrades altogether. Addressing this paradox requires not only a smart product strategy, but also empathetic, human centered communication. We must show that technology enhances life, not complicates it. Understanding this paradox leads to an important marketing implication. Companies must recognize that customer enthusiasm for technology is not universal. In fact, some users are cautious or even resistant, and trying to convert them using hype or pressure usually doesn't work. Instead, marketers should adopt a holistic perspective that takes both the benefits and the drawbacks of technology into account. One example is the Luddite movement, where people deliberately reject certain technologies to protect their lifestyle or values. These consumers aren't necessarily against technology, they're against its misuse or overwhelming presence. Similarly, some consumers limit their children's screen time or delete social media apps to regain a sense of balance. These behaviors should be respected, not dismissed. So, what should marketers do? First, we must acknowledge these tensions. Instead of pretending that technology is perfect, brands can build credibility by recognizing trade offs and helping customers manage them. Second, marketing messages should emphasize meaningful benefits like safety, empowerment, or simplicity. Don't just say latest version, explain why it improves their life. Ultimately, thoughtful marketers need to walk a fine line, promoting innovation while honoring consumers' natural skepticism. Another key responsibility for high tech marketers is to address the unintended consequences of technology. As innovations are introduced, they sometimes bring side effects that were never predicted, such as increased stress, data vulnerability, or decreased human connection. When consumers start noticing these negative effects, they may become hesitant or distrustful. That's why firms need to be proactive, not reactive. The first step is to truly understand the fears and concerns that users may have. For instance, if consumers are worried about AI replacing human jobs, marketers can highlight how AI works alongside human talent rather than replacing it. Similarly, if privacy is a concern, marketers can emphasize transparent data policies, encryption features, and user control options. It's also helpful to focus on educational trade offs. Make it clear what consumers gain and what they might give up and why the trade off is worth it. Use transparent labeling, in depth FAQs, and clear tutorials. When people feel informed and in control, they're more likely to embrace new tools. Lastly, always be ready to adjust your messaging if unintended consequences start to dominate the conversation. Listening to feedback and improving continuously is a form of respectful marketing. And in the high tech world, respect is a differentiator. To manage paradoxical reactions and customer concerns successfully, companies must move from a reactive stance to a proactive mindset. Waiting until problems arise or PR disasters happen is simply too risky in today's fast moving tech environment. Marketers must anticipate pushback, address issues before they escalate, and design strategies that promote both innovation and reassurance. This can include anticipating regulation. For example, if you're developing a product that uses facial recognition or biometric data, it's wise to consider privacy laws and ethical questions upfront before consumers or regulators raise them. Being proactive also means building consumer trust. Be clear about how data is used. Offer users control over their experience. Give people the tools to adapt to new tech at their own pace. Another proactive move is incorporating social responsibility into your brand narrative. If your company shows it understands the broader societal impacts of its technology, such as environmental sustainability, digital equity, or accessibility, it creates goodwill and deeper brand loyalty. Proactive marketing isn't about being defensive, it's about being responsible, empathetic, and forward thinking. The goal is to help customers see not just what your technology does, but what it stands for. To wrap up everything we've covered so far, let's review the core message. Understanding high tech customers requires more than analyzing data, it requires empathy, foresight, and strategic insight. Segmentation allows us to identify and group customers by their shared behaviors and needs. Profiling helps us understand what drives them. Target market selection ensures we focus our efforts where they matter most, and positioning ensures our products are seen as relevant, valuable, and different. But that's not the end of the story. We also need to manage the dynamics of obsolescence, helping customers transition through product generations without anxiety or regret. Migration paths, upgrade strategies, and communication clarity are key tools here. And finally, we must acknowledge the paradoxical nature of consumer relationships with technology. People love innovation, but they also fear it. Our job is to bridge that emotional divide with thoughtful marketing, strong ethical grounding, and a proactive approach. In high tech industries, markets shift fast, but human concerns, trust, security, simplicity remain remarkably constant. If you can address both the technical and emotional needs of your customers, you'll build not just users but advocates. High tech marketing must address consumers' fear of rapid product obsolescence by offering clear upgrade paths, backwards compatibility, flexible pricing, and transparent support policies. This builds trust and loyalty, as seen with Apple and Microsoft, who prioritize long term relationships over constant customer acquisition. As digital fatigue grows, successful brands respect users' boundaries, focusing on solutions that simplify life rather than overwhelming features or jargon. Marketing should highlight real benefits in clear language. Marketers must ensure their enthusiasm for technology is grounded in real world impact, feedback, and ethics, especially with emerging tech like AI. Transparency about benefits, risks, and experimental features fosters trust and helps customers embrace innovation confidently. In summary, high tech segmentation requires understanding diverse behaviors, not just data. Positioning is an ongoing dialogue, and post sale strategies like upgrades and education are as important as advertising. Recognize the emotional journey of tech customers, excited yet cautious. Marketers should guide and serve, bridging innovation and human connection.